Hello, beloved of the Lord. This is Bev Potter. It is August 10th, Friday, August 10th, 2018. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that the Lord showed me last year. It was something very profound, and I would like to put forth an argument to say that it may have actually occurred on the true Yom Kippur last year, which would make sense. So the experience happened on October 29th, 2017. I was praying for a friend, and suddenly I saw the Lord, the Father, bring down his gavel, and I heard, "It is finished," judgment in favor of the saints. As soon as I heard, "It is finished," I pictured Jesus on the cross. And judgment in favor of the saints made me think immediately of Daniel, the book of Daniel, Daniel 7:22. Now that was very profound, but it struck me odd that it occurred on what seemed like a random day, October 29th. It wasn't associated, as far as I knew, with any feast day or any particular significant day on the Hebrew calendar. But the Lord gave me a few clues, and I would like to share that with you, because I believe it's important to recognize what happened on that day. So first I would like to talk about Diana Olivieri. I've mentioned her before. I highly recommend. She's getting some very important current information. Please go and check out her YouTube channel. It's just Diana Olivieri. And yes, I would recommend you listen to at least the last 2 or 3 messages. Very, very important stuff. All right, but what she had received back in 2017, I believe it was, she got, it could have been the previous year. Anyway, she got 8-1 is 7-1, meaning that the calendar was off by a month. So when everyone was celebrating something in 8-1, 8-1 was actually 7-1. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to be able to do this so it's clear. All right. 8-1 is 7-1. So August is actually July. All right. So based on that, then we would be able to say that October is actually September. Now remember, I received that word on October 29th. But if October is September, then that's when the feast days are normally observed. Or at least they were in that year, 2017. But if October is September, then October is when the feast days should have been celebrated, because it's actually September. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that. I think I've made it clear. If not, go ahead and send me any questions. All right, so I want to show you a calendar. This is a calendar of 2017, September and October. Now what I want you to see, sorry, my low-tech way of doing things. Okay, so do you see the big black dot? That's the new moon, or we'll call it the invisible moon. Okay, so that in September, it was on the 20th. And then Yom Kippur was celebrated exactly 10 days after the hidden moon. Okay, now we're going to go to October. Can you see October? All right. Can you see the black dot in October, which is actually September? And then, exactly 10 days after the hidden moon in October, came October 29th, the day that I received that word. Actually, it was in the evening. I'm sorry, I do not know the exact time. Is it possible that 10 days after the hidden moon in October was really the true Yom Kippur? I believe it was. Okay, so I want to take a closer look at what I got that day. All right. In meditating on the words, "It is finished," I pictured Jesus on the cross, so that was John 19:30 when he said, "It is finished," and he gave up his spirit. So his suffering was over. Also, thinking about "it is finished," I was reminded of a verse from the book of Colossians where Paul says, "In my flesh, I am filling up what is lacking in Christ's afflictions for the sake of his body, that is, the church." And I'm just going to read this. It's from a letter that I wrote. I believe here Paul is referring to the principle that if the church is to follow Christ, she must pass through the same process he did on the road to glory. We must be willing to allow the Lord to bring us to the end of our self-life. In the words of Jesus, "Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done, Father." If we look at Paul's words in context, we see that he had an understanding of suffering which transcended his circumstances, pointing to the mystery the Lord had revealed to him, which is Christ in us, the hope of glory. That's from Colossians 1:27. I believe the Lord was showing me in that vision that the suffering of obedience, crucifying the flesh by full submission to God, and the prayers of the body of Christ have fulfilled the requirements of justice in order to allow him to bring down his judgment in favor of the saints. Another verse that came to me was John 17:1. After Jesus said this, he looked toward heaven and prayed. So this is in the Garden of Gethsemane when Jesus was praying prior to being taken to be crucified. He prayed, "Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, that your Son may glorify you." And I believe that this refers to the man-child of Revelation 12:5. Those that have been fully prepared by the Lord to become his representatives on the earth. Daniel 7:21 says, "As I watched, this horn was raging war against the saints and defeating them, until the Ancient of Days came and pronounced judgment in favor of the saints of the Most High. And the time came when they possessed the kingdom." How do we possess the kingdom? We possess it when Christ comes to take his rightful place in us and begins to reign through us. This speaks, I believe, of the transfiguration, the redemption, the full inheritance of the saints. And you can see Ephesians 1:18-23 for those verses. I believe Revelation 12:9-10 is also a reference to this same event. It says, "Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ." And then I had mentioned on the last video that I felt I was to spend some time in the book of Enoch. And I found something, many things, wonderful things, but I found something that I believe relates powerfully to this judgment. It is in Enoch. Sorry, this is in Roman numerals. Just want to make sure I've got it right. Where did I write it down? 47, 2-4. I'm going to read this section to you. Enoch 47, verse 2-4. In those days the holy ones who dwell above in the heavens shall unite with one voice and supplicate and pray and praise and give thanks and bless the name of the Lord of spirits. This is the Ancient of Days, the Father. On behalf of the blood of the righteous which has been shed, and that the prayer of the righteous may not be in vain before the Lord of spirits, that judgment may be done unto them, and that they may not have to suffer forever. In those days I saw the head of days, when he seated himself upon the throne of his glory, and the books of the living were opened before him. And all his host which is in heaven above, and his counselors stood before him. And the hearts of the holy were filled with joy, because the number of the righteous had been offered, and the prayer of the righteous had been heard, and the blood of the righteous been required before the Lord of spirits. I believe this is talking about the same thing I just mentioned, that the requirements of justice have been fulfilled. And that is out of the book of Enoch. Now I just want to give a quick background to that word that I received on October 29th, 2017. In around about the year 2003, I am not sure the exact time, I was reading Isaiah 61, and the words of the verse on the page came up off the page, went up over my head, and I felt them turn to oil, and I felt oil running through my hair and down my neck, under my shirt. I never understood that experience, and I never saw any fruit from it until finally, at the beginning of 2017, January 29th, 2017, I heard, "This is the year." And I knew it was from Isaiah 61. The whole verse goes, "This is the year of the favor of the Lord." And then, interestingly enough, there was exactly a 9-month gap between January 29th, 17 and October 29th, 17. We know that words are like seeds. Is it possible? And I knew when I heard that it was at church, and I knew I needed to release it that day. I needed to speak it before the congregation, and it had to be sown. And then 9 months later, I had the privilege to witness this event where the Father brought down his judgment in favor of the saints. So, if I am right, if that was truly Yom Kippur for 2017, then this is the year. This is the year of a profound change. I had a dream recently, and I believe I mentioned it on a different video, but I'll just bring it in for our context. It was a dream where I saw myself and I saw light flowing through my mind, and I knew that it was conforming my mind, and it was tearing down paradigms and mindsets and ways of thinking that had been set up there that God did not want. And a couple of other things happened, but what I want to mention is right at the end of the dream, and it was more than a dream, I would call it an experience. Just before I woke up, I heard, by the end of October, we could begin to see the manifestation of the glory. So I believe we are in a very important time frame right now, all the way up to the end of October. I mean, these days we're in, everything's important, but pertaining to that word judgment in favor of the saints, this is the year. I believe that something profound is going to happen. And I believe that it's imminent, and I don't think we're going to have to wait till the end of October for things to happen that will bring that change where we are able to see the manifestation of the glory. Because of that, I have a few videos that I feel that I need to get out and that pertain to some dates that other people have received, but because they fit in the context of what the Lord has given me personally, I feel it's very important for me to make you aware of that. So I will do another video, and it will be based on some information that Diana Olivieri put out, and yeah, so that's coming up. So just to say that these days are very significant, and so let us be pressing into the Lord, seeking His face, and letting Him lead us into all truth. Thank you, beloved. Thank you for letting me share. God bless you, and I will talk to you soon, God willing.